right? So be flexible with your goals. Now, so now I'm saying, like, you know, I told you about the word fuck. Now I am trying to understand what I can do with my neuroscience knowledge, because the reason this is another interesting thing. So I'm an engineer. Like, I studied engineering during my undergrad. So I did programming, and I was just sitting in front of a computer all day and shit like that. The reason I went into neuroscience is because in terms of like religion and culture, I wasn't allowed to learn about people, right? Like, I wasn't allowed to interact with people so much just because my parents were scared. They didn't let me go on camps, guys. I was not allowed to go to camps. I was not allowed to stay at people's houses, right? It was very, very sheltered. And it's interesting because in Texas, even it was like that. When I moved to Montreal for grad school, I went to McGill here in Montreal. Even then, being surrounded by the hottest girls. Sorry, guys, in Toronto, we're better, huh? Montreal, way better. Just letting you guys know. And please don't come, and please don't tell people. Okay, but right? So no, you guys are welcome to come anytime. You can stay at my place, no problem. Okay, so in Montreal, I'm there surrounded by all these hotties, and I'm doing my fucking PhD, and I'm still clueless. Like, I don't see it. They're all around me, but the power of training your brain, the power of being brainwashed is so real that I'm not aware of what's going on in my environment. You know, I sometimes compare myself, the guys who fucking blew up the World Trade Center, those were extreme guys, right? But what's the difference between someone like that, who's so extreme, so brainwashed, and someone who is extreme in other ways, someone like me, right? Like, in terms of the brain, in terms of neuroscience and plasticity, it's all the same, right? We're on a train of thought. We think what we're doing is right until we realize that, fuck, I made a big mistake in life. Like, I regret all this stuff, right? But then what's another interesting thing is you take all those weaknesses and you turn them into strengths. So, you know, one thing I tell everyone is you have to own your insecurities. Whatever you're really, really insecure about, you have to own it. Like nowadays, right? So obviously there's a lot of sexual shaming that I've had. And now when I pull girls, right away I'm straightforward with them. I'm like, look, I'm brought up in I'm very much, like, people have shamed me sexually. So, like, you know, I'm just letting you know that. So when we're in bed, you don't expect, like, first night I'm gonna fuck you for 8 hours. Like, that's not gonna happen, right? Like, there's all this vulnerability there, right? You're very direct, you're very, like, secure with who you are. Right? So it's not like, you know, when I was RSD, like, dude, RSD is very intense, right? You got guys who are like super horny and shit, and they're like, you know, they're all about one night stands and stuff, which is totally cool. I mean, I pulled all these girls in Vegas, like legit hotties. But the thing was, because I was so shamed sexually, they're in my bed, but like I'm limp, like I can't get a boner. Because like, I mean, I know I can get a boner because I was addicted to porn for 20 years. So I know my boner's working, like I know my erections are good. But like with this girl, I'm like, I'm sorry? Like, you know what I mean? Right? And I mean, look, man, it's really depressing, right? It's fucking depressing. I know a lot of guys ask me like about hair growth and beard growth and stuff. And there's all these drugs, all these pharmaceutical companies out there selling you shit. And then all those chemicals will make you like impotent. And you're not gonna get a boner anymore. And those guys commit suicide, right? Like when you're with a girl and you can't be masculine, you can't satisfy her, that is like the ultimate depression for me. Not getting a bad grade, none of that shit, or getting a B. I don't even give a shit if I get a B now. But it's about how do you experience life as a man, right? So like someone talked about today, Vadim talked about it, in your own terms, the freedom. What is freedom, right? Live life in your own terms. And one thing that I've realized in my life is the only way to live life in your own terms is to really know the one priority you have. You have to have a priority, right? Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this all the time, right? If you're 1% dissatisfied with your life, you have to fight for that 1%. The 99% is not gonna care, because it's not gonna matter, because in 5 years, you're gonna quit. In 10 years, you're gonna quit. You have to really, really fucking know what you need to do and use your weaknesses as your strength. So how did I do that? So now I'm like, okay, and I'm with RSD. I stayed there a year in Vegas, going out 7 nights a week. I became the director of immersion. So I was like running the whole program with RSD. And then because I was not able to satisfy women, and I have a neuroscience background, and I sort of understand. At that time, I didn't understand fitness at all because I had like never done a deadlift, I'd never done a squat, my body was all fucked up. I was like, okay, maybe I can figure out a way to leverage my medical background to fix myself and help people around me that need my help and provide benefit to those people. So then I started Doc Testosterone. And essentially what that is a scientific way to get better sleep. So sleep, like optimal diet, optimal exercise, get rid of toxins in the environment, how to get rid of porn addiction. Porn addiction is huge in the community, right? And I understand because I overcame my porn addiction of 20 years. Guys, like, you have to understand, I don't know, kind of like embarrassing, but like, my porn addiction was so crazy. Like, I would have to watch a specific type of fetish to get hard at a certain point in my life. And there's so much pain in that because you're unable to, because dude, I'm like going to grad school here, right? It's like a hard fucking McGill neuroscience is hard. And I'm doing that and I'm not like, I think I'm not allowed to talk to girls and I think I'm not allowed to like have sex with girls because I haven't been married yet and all that. And now it's like, oh, there's porn, oh shit. And even though I'm a neuroscientist, even though I understand how the brain works and what's gonna happen to my neurons if I'm training myself to do this, how my brain's gonna change, I still did it. Why? Because like that's what we do. It's kind of like, you're gonna watch porn and jerk off, That's how you do it. But then I started realizing how to overcome that by changing my brain, how to change those routines, how to take your triggers and your rewards and reprogram the routine so you're still able to get the same craving satisfied. So that's when I moved to Strength Camp to work with Elliot.